everybody, welcome back to The Waifu and the Weeb. It is the man, the myth, the legend himself. It is the Weeb Dante, and today we'll be talking about some manga that I read recently. There's something darkly beautiful about seeing yourself in art, no matter the medium. Just realizing what this character is going through, you felt the same pain, the same hopelessness, the same seemingly inescapable void. I couldn't rid myself of that feeling while reading the first 2 volumes of Snow Angel. Muku Shiroshika's childhood was full of laughter and love, only to have that reality torn from her grasp when her best friends, Yuto and Sakuto, move away, and her father dies in a tragic accident. Taken in by her grandparents, she spends the next 10 years doing whatever is asked of her by her family, her own desires be damned. There's no blinding youth to look back on, no fond memories of time spent with club members, or heart-pounding romances to speak of. Instead, Muku spends a decade shackled by oppressive expectations of reciprocation when it comes to familial love. Robbed of her chance to experience the freedom of adolescence, Muku has spent most of her life as a young caregiver, unable to do much more than work, save up money for her younger sister's eventual stint in college, and care for her grandfather who's suffering from dementia. It's an unpopular opinion where I'm from, but I've always vehemently opposed the notion that just because you're family, you're required to do for each other. It's not a child's responsibility to care for their siblings, nor their parents or grandparents. Is it commendable to help out when you can? Absolutely. But just because you share a last name or a bloodline doesn't mean that your life isn't your life. You shouldn't be beholden to your family just because you happen to be born. And I know most people would say that you should take care of your family. I agree to a certain extent. Muku's thoughts on the time she spent as a young caregiver are heartbreaking, to say the least. She feels like she's suffocating from the amount of quote-unquote love in her family. Her grandmother considers it heartless to think of putting her husband in a home, despite his dementia being severe. Muku's mother expects her to devote her time taking care of her grandfather until he no longer leads the care, and her younger sister graduates from high school and is able to attend college. With the severity of his illness, the only way to be done taking care of Grandpa, as her mother so eloquently put it, would be to bury the man once he passes on. Harsh, but that's the reality of their situation. Her grandmother is so preoccupied with appearances and holding strong to her outdated views of womanhood that she constantly oppresses Muku, never giving her the chance to speak up for herself. And even when she does, it's like it's in one ear and out of the other because her grandmother is so set in her ways. Muku finally reaches a boiling point, and before she can say or do something she can't take back, she tries to go for a walk to clear her head. It's at this moment that Yuto and Sakuto reappear in her life. Literally, they're about to ring the doorbell when she storms out of the house. After overhearing everything, Yuto can't help but speak his mind, the timidness of his childhood replaced by a bluntness his older brother Sakuto is constantly trying to get him to correct. He points out, as objectively as possible, that Muku's family has been taking advantage of her kindness under the guise of repaying the family for taking care of her. Despite adamant objections from her family, Muku decides to leave and stay with Yuto and Sakuto so she doesn't end up hating her family. The guilt immediately starts to eat at her for leaving her younger sister, but the fact still remains that she's close to her breaking point, so it was either leave or fracture her family for good. Yuto tries his best to make her feel at ease with her decision, trying to get her to see that the life she's been living for the past decade is full of abuse, manipulation, and trauma. After her mother and grandmother follow her to force her to return home, she makes up her mind that she'll fight to make her family see sense. And it's at this moment I couldn't help but smile, because I understand all too well the weight of familial expectation, especially when chronic illness is concerned. Being the person everyone relies on and just expects to take on the brunt of everything can be a lot. And if left unchecked, it can lead to resentment, detachment, and at worst, a fractured psyche. Breaking free from the influence of family is difficult, especially when you've been conditioned to just deal with it as a matter of course. And not having a real support system only makes it harder. When the people who are supposed to support you are the very ones chipping away at you, you can feel like there's no hope for escape. All Muku has is Inori, her younger sister, and even she isn't really sure how to help, despite seeing how her big sister is treated. With that said, the fact that Inori makes an effort to voice her discontent with the current circumstances and show her sister that she wants her to have a life too is something you don't see often, speaking from personal experience at least. Inori earned a gold star in my book for that. I want Muku to be able to live the life that she was robbed of, and you can see just how important it is to have people willing to stand up for and fight for you. Abuse comes in many forms, and fighting against it is one of the most difficult things you can do. But when you're able to overcome it, that's one of the best feelings you get in life. And before all is said and done, I want Muku to feel that. And Yuto makes it clear that he'll do his best to ensure that happens for her. That reminds me, I didn't even touch on the romance simmering underneath the surface in Snow Angel. It takes a back seat to the familial drama for sure, but it is there. And Yuto doesn't even realize it until he meets her again after a decade, but he's always had strong feelings toward Muku. Be they friends, admiration, or most recently, love. His feelings have festered and grown since they were separated as children, and learning what Muku has been going through in his absence only works to strengthen his feelings and his resolve. He wants Muku to be happy, and he's able to admit that he's the happiest whenever he's around her. As awkward as he is, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and with how dense Muku is, it'll be a long while before his feelings are understood. Though her lack of romantic experience makes sense given how she's had little to no time for herself, let alone a relationship with someone else. But I'll be along for the ride to see how long Muku will see him as little more than her childhood friend. Snow Angel is a tough read sometimes, but that's mainly because I relate so much to Muku. She's a strong person who was forced to live her life for others, with nary a chance to even begin to learn who she is and wants to become. The gorgeous art only elevates the emotional scenes and melancholy she experiences at times, though it also works to make those emotional highs much more poignant. And with how the second volume wraps up, I'm curious where the story will go next, as it has the bones to be a great story about love and self-discovery. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay weird and read manga.